Hello, and welcome back to an all-new episode of Wicked Unscripted, where we have unscripted conversations about some of the most popular reality shows on television. My name is Abigail Adams. I am your host for this podcast. Joining me today, as always, is the lovely Sarah Talks, and we're back to talk about actually 2 episodes of Survivor, episodes 3 and episodes 4. We are doubling up today, and we're also doing a bit of a more earlier morning podcast than either of us are used to. So I wanted to give that disclaimer as we go forward because we just had a conversation about how not tired we are, but tired.
So tired. I listen to one of my favorite podcasts is called Morbid, and it's a true crime podcast with Ashton and Elena. And whenever they record early, they kind of have to give the same disclaimer, and they call it Morbid in the morning. And I was just thinking, like, Wicked and Scripted, it doesn't sound the same. So
no, but we
here.
can think of our own little jingle. We definitely, I think we should think of our own jingle, especially as we're going to be doing potentially more of these on weekends. So
yeah, because life, man.
Yeah, I'm not even necessarily mad that we're doing these 2 episodes together because, first of all, they flow really well together. So it's not like it feels like the story's really choppy. But also, I don't know. Everybody knows I take notes for this. And I mean, the amount of notes I took for these 2 episodes is the equivalent to like a full episode with lots of drama and action.
I mean, it's technically, we only had 1 tribal, so.
Oh, man. There's so much to go into. And I mean, I think one of the things I'll start with, and I mean, we're going to probably talk about this more in the podcast. Please, and Sarah, you can disagree because I actually haven't heard your opinion on this. Please stop with the 3-tribe format. I'm so over it. I'm sick of it. I want it to go away forever until they can figure out something better that is more feasible, because this is getting so miserable. This is not the first time we've had blowouts like this, and it's just it's not entertaining.
I mean, I've talked about it, but I think that between the 3-tribe format and the competition, I will say the competitions this season so far have been a smidgen more diverse. But when you lead into the super heavy physical obstacle course puzzle bullshit, 3 tribes, it's just we're getting the same result, same formula every single time because the women are just picked off. So I feel like this season's been a little different. What I really wish that they would just knock it out. Like, I do knock off the 3 tribes, but also knock off taking away votes.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other big thing. I think everybody's sick of that. It's not, there's no purpose to really take away votes. It's, I know they think it's adding some sort of extra element, but it's just, first of all, it's hard to keep up with for fans. And I think they need to remember that, and I know both of us, I feel like actually we're rehashing an old conversation.
We are, because we have to have this conversation every fucking season.
Well, because it's shit, I lost my train of thought. But I mean, I think that's just the truth. It's fine because we're going to rehash pretty much everything that we've said before. And it's just frustrating to kind of keep saying like, hey, this isn't working for us. Hey, this isn't working for us. And like, we're in a new era. They're changing a ton of stuff. Things are changing every season. And it's just like, why can't the things though that we are asking to have changed be changed? And so maybe it's a little early for me to go on this rant, but I was going to do it later. I'll probably not rant. Let me change that. But I was going to say this later, but I got to say it now. I'm getting frustrated with Jeff in production being more concerned about what they want versus what fans want. It's come up so much in like the podcasts that he's done, in the interviews that he's done. And it's like, well, this is what I think is great. And I like it when I'm approached by families and they're like, thank you for making a show that I can watch with my kids. And it's like, and no one's saying don't make it for kids and don't make it kid friendly. But one of the big things that Jeff says he thinks makes it more kid friendly is he's kind of gone away from what Mark Burnett has done, where it was like very like pitting people against each other. And he's like, I don't like that. I just like the strategy. And it's like, but when you don't, but you're missing the element when you don't have that. And it's not to make people hate each other. Like, there's a difference between hating each other and having like really strong feelings about somebody needs to get out for my game and I'm feeling pitted against them for these reasons and blah blah blah. And he said that he doesn't want to cast villains anymore. Or like those are the kinds of like the villainous people. He doesn't want those kinds of characters, and it's just like
Well, like, great, Jeff, but
that's not what we're asking.
We do.
And so that's my problem. And so I'm not trying to be a dick, but if we're at a crossroads here. Either Jeff is going to continue to get what he wants and fans are just going to continue to drop off the show, or the show listens to us and it can continue on its historic run. I'm not trying to say that it's all that black and white, but I kind of feel like it's going to be. I saw Lauren from Survivor 39 make not a similar comment, but kind of a similar comment where she's like, I think Survivor's dead. I think Survivor's dying. I don't know how it's going to compete with some of these shows that are really popular right now when it's not giving. And I don't necessarily disagree. It's hard.
I just feel like we're getting very rinse and repeat. I will give credit where credit is due. The uptick is very slight. You have to zoom in to see it, if you will. But I am seeing a little bit of an improvement in this
season, am too.
Meaning like competitions are more diverse. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. We're getting some more filler than I like. But the competitions are getting a little bit more of a mix up here, which is probably one of the biggest things I've been screaming for, because it's literally the most boring part of the show to me, because I feel like I've watched the same competition every single week for like the last 4 years. And
it should be interesting. You should be like, yes, and now it's the challenge. What's the challenge?
Now I fast forward to when Jeff's handing out prizes. Like it, because it's just there's okay. Once he announces like what the comp is, I'm like, yeah, okay, we've seen this.
I will literally, I'll go do dishes because I have like a very small apartment. Sarah's seen it. I have a room where I can, my living room is, my television is in eyesight of my kitchen. So I can literally I'm just gonna go do dishes during this. And if I miss shit, I miss shit. I don't care. And that's a problem for them. One of the things I also want to know, I don't know if I've mentioned this in a recent podcast, words. That's the first one. Okay. Hey, I mean, we got what, 7.5 minutes into this? That's the first flub.
That's great.
Proud of us. I'm also playing a game too of how long will it take in this podcast to smudge my newly painted nails. So we'll see. We're still going strong on that. But one of the things I actually really want to bring up, and I think is really important, I don't know how many fans heard this or saw this. Jeff has said, like, and it's really, I don't know if Jeff has said it. I know it's a thing though. It has been said that one of the big reasons they are staying on Fiji is that they get to keep this land. They are playing on the same islands, and they're also that's where they're keeping all of their challenge props. They're not really, it doesn't sound like they're changing or making any props. It sounds like they're taking the most cost-effective way to run this show. And I don't know how much money they're actually spending on new productions. And that's my issue, is like, I'm sorry, but it's time. If we're not spending money, that's the if we are not spending money right now, it is time to spend a little bit of money and change some shit up. This is not working. I just don't know. Like, I don't know what else to say.
I will say, but like we've seen this season, it has been we've had a little bit of a difference. We're seeing more competitions that I find that
totally
we would typically see post merge, because I feel like that's when they shake it up a little bit more. Pre-merge comps, it's the exact same comp every single week. This season, however, we are seeing a little bit more of a shakeup there, which I'm very appreciative of. I'm over the 3 tribes. I'm over them losing votes. Absolutely. That's your whole game. And you know, an article came out, and we could talk more in depth about this later. An article came out where Jeff was interviewed and asked about this last episode and the edit of it. And I just, I disagree. Where he said, you know, we're just trying to be authentic and tell people's experiences and stuff like that.
I have the full quote, so we'll read it when we get to it.
Yeah. So but that's not what you're doing. You're trying to make like you're trying to make like an Academy Award winning movie when you're here for reality.
Oh my God. That is such a good point because that's another thing that I'm getting really irritated with. It feels like so much of the show is because like they're trying to be impressive with the way they're shooting it, almost like they're trying to win awards. It's like you don't know you'll get nominated, excuse me, for PCAs and for Emmys and all that kind of stuff if you just have a really entertaining show.
Their
Like I don't need the
cinematography
slow-mos
is
of the
incredible.
whoa. I don't
Yes.
need that shit.
Their
I'm sorry.
cinematography, I will hands down, it is absolutely incredible.
Oh
Last
yeah.
year, I will say, like, that scene still stucks me where, the first comp and he hit his head and the blood spurt, like, it was dramatic, right? But like, and when they get the beauty of the island, and it's all very, very beautiful.
The
However,
nature
when you're
shot.
telling me people's stories, and not to like use a hot button word that people like to come for me, but like it feels inauthentic. It doesn't feel like reality television to me. It
No, I
feels like
very
you're
think
trying
that
to sell
inauthentic is
me an
correct.
edit.
I agree with that very much. No, so I agree.
Yeah. I mean, I spend the majority of my day watching Grey's Anatomy, a scripted drama. When I am watching Survivor, I want to watch reality television. I don't want them to feel like they're in the same genre.
Yeah, it's just it feels more like because we know that there are things in reality television that are produced, right? I
Right.
think like one of the big things that I always remind people of is like Corinne. I don't know if you've heard of this because you're a newer fan, but Corinne, when she was aligned with Malcolm on Fans versus Favorites too, she one of them found the idol and cameras weren't nearby and they were like, "Oh, can you just put it back real quick and then like refind it and get excited together?" And she said that's all alleged, of course. We haven't heard Survivor's side of that, but she has alleged that like, yeah, sometimes we have to like redo some stuff because if cameras don't catch it and they need the moment, like they're not going to just be like, "Oh, look, she found an idol and she's walking back." Name a time in Survivor history when cameras haven't been with the person when they found the idol. So
Hmm.
it's just or an advantage of found anything. And so that's the thing. So we know that at times there might be some things that they're like, "Hey, can you just go back real quick and just do a thing?" But it's
Yeah.
also it's largely authentic. It's just like it's just like, "Hey, we just need the shot for the storyline." But like, yes, the person found it. It's not like they like intended for that person to find it. But the problem is it's just like it just feels like it's too many of not even too many of those shots, but it just feels like a lot more
It's too
inauthenticity.
polished.
It's way too polished for a reality show, and, like, for those of us who are longtime fans and it's not even of Survivor, it's longtime fans of reality television because you and I have the same exact criticism of Big Brother. Same exact criticism, like,
To
to
the
a
point
T.
where Sarah talks Big Brother is like in a real emotional standoff. Like we're not broken up. We're taking a break.
Oh,
Like
yeah, feels that.
we're sleeping, like one of us is sleeping on the couch right now. Like I'm in this like weird relationship with the show that really launched me into this. And
Mhm.
until like that's a whole nother discussion, but like I'm waiting with bated breath for this next season to um
Where we go from here.
see where we go from there. Yeah, because Reindeer Games showed us they have the ability to do things that we've been asking. So I'm waiting with bated breath there. But yeah,
We could do
I
a whole
don't
episode on that.
want that to happen to this show. Um, because it is a beautiful show and it is a great show. And I feel like now with the introduction, like we are in a new era of reality television,
Mhm.
where reality television's hit a very big boom. We have wild successes like House of Villains, E's highest rated
Oh,
show
yeah.
since the Kardashians premiered. We have
True.
an unprecedented level of views from Netflix's Squid Games. Um, we
Traders is
have
another big one.
Huh?
Traders is another big
Traitors.
one.
Traitors is a Peacock smash hit, and that they set viewer and new membership records with Traitors. And not just a hit here, but a hit globally. To
Mhm.
have a US fan base be so invested that they're watching your international versions of the show. But
Mm.
we're in this reality television boom, and I think that Survivor and Big Brother really need to like reassess, listen, and reevaluate where they fit in this space, because
Mhm.
they could now, after 46 seasons, 20, now it's about 26 seasons. It could go away.
Yeah.
It could go away and no one's going to bat an eyelash. And so I
Mhm.
feel, especially now, like I would just send you this article of Mr. Beast is getting in on the game. That
Mhm.
is going to be huge, like
It's gonna
absolutely
kill him.
groundbreaking huge for this space. So
I'm worried.
I'm worried. Yeah, I'm worried
Mhm.
and I'm concerned, and I just hope that that they are as self-aware of as they need to be. Like we see it. We see the writing on the wall and what this space looks like, a year, 5 years, 10 years down the road. And I just hope that they're kind of on that same wavelength.
I don't know, I feel like a lot of us, because you and I are not the only ones that are saying this on social media, on podcasts, literally anywhere. It feels like a lot of us who are saying this are screaming into a void right now. And to be honest, so I'm reading I've mentioned this book a couple times, and I have not finished reading it because I've been going through some stuff. But I've gone back and restarted reading, this book about, the Redstones who own the Paramount,
Mhm.
like everything. And if you know anything, Shari Redstone, I shouldn't say that necessarily. Let me back up on that one a little bit. CBS is kind of and Paramount is kind of being shopped around to new buyers. Paramount Plus is they're basically looking to merge with somebody. And initially they were talking with Discovery. Thank God that doesn't sound like that's going through. I would have died if David Zaslav got his hands on any of this. That wouldn't have been good. That said, I'm not saying that I'm thrilled with the other options, you know? That's another thing that plays into it. But so one of the things I really want to go back to what Sarah said, really, is this landscape is changing. They are not changing with what fans are saying. And this goes back to even our previous point. Fans
They as
drive
in
all of this.
Paramount.
Paramount production for these shows. You know what show I'll say they need to start kind of paying attention to is Amazing Race. Amazing Race had some iffy season. I'm not gonna lie, had some iffy seasons in the last few years. But what they did is it seemed like they very much listened to fans when fans were like, "We do not like this. Do not do this again." They were like, "Okay, we tried. We thought this would be fun, but we're not gonna do it anymore." And like it's very much gone. It's still at its roots. That's why it keeps getting nominated for awards. It's why it still wins awards. Why is that not something that this show can latch on to? And I can't believe we spent, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, we spent a lot of time talking about it, but I think it's really an important topic for us to talk about
Yeah.
because after these first 4 episodes, I am very concerned about the future of Survivor. Um and I don't know what they have changed for filming moving forward. I think I don't know if filming is started for 47 and 48. I think it's actually no, 47
I
has
heard
to have filmed.
47 they started.
Yeah, 47 has to have started. I was gonna say, because like, mathing the math. But anyways, if they're not listening and 47 and 48 don't go well, I worry that 50 will be the end. I don't think they stop before 50. I think they'll get the renewal to go to 50, but I worry that if things don't change, 50 is gonna be the goodbye season, and I don't want that. I'm really worried. So anyways, let's talk about these 2 episodes.
Yeah.
You know, I'll kinda run somewhat in chronological, but as we kinda go through,
Yeah.
we'll just shoot the shit. So, where we last left off on the last episode was Jess getting voted out, um, and I gotta say, I made a TikTok too, I'll just say, but, I'm so dumb. I keep forgetting about the shot in the dark because it just seems like such a not waste of time, but it doesn't get I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's played up enough or, like, talked about enough.
No, yeah, we said that the
Like,
last episode too, is like, yeah, the shot that I don't know why she just didn't I don't know. I
I
don't know.
I don't either. I don't either.
She knew it was a fake idol. She did her best. What this
Right.
ep the that not this, the episode we're talking about,
Yeah.
started off with was the aftermath of
Right.
the Bhanu "Who Are We Voting For"
Mhm.
tribal, which was wild.
I know. Oh my god. It was so insane. And it was like
And he still was, like, kinda spinning out and then getting really emotional back at camp and
Tiffany told him, she was like,
Like,
"Look, we love you. It was just because you are known to tell secrets. Like, you've literally spilled secrets, and we all know. So, like, we couldn't tell you. Sorry." And to be fair though, as a human, I can understand why Bonnie was upset because that is still that's a dagger for somebody who does try to do good and try. I think part of it is that he is not as socially savvy as I thought he was going to be pre-season. Because there are things he'll just say, and it's kind of like myself, where it's like you say it and it's like speaking before you think, and then all of a sudden it's like not realizing that what you said actually has a larger impact on like the group at large. Like he'll say things and not realize that it's like we, and then like not referencing Jess, and then Jeff will be like, that seemed to not reference Jess, and Bhanu will be like, oh, sorry. Constantly getting caught in those little things. So I feel for him, but like it's also not good for the game or his game rather.
I did find out. So, someone did you see? I don't know if you noticed it in the comments. One of our listeners did let us know that the block is hot is
Oh,
AAVE.
oh my god, thank you, by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah, appreciate that because, like I said, I never know. I mean, I guess you never have to worry about me, a white woman, um, appropriating AAVE because
Not that phrase.
but yeah,
When I
the
read
block
that
is
comment,
hot.
I was
They were
like,
talking about
oh,
but see, in my head, the way I heard it, I'm thinking, did she just coin like, is this some kind of survivor term? Because I know the block as like Big Brother, the block like up for eviction, and so like in the
yeah.
tribal space, like the block is like it was fitting.
Oh,
It was fitting.
she is like that is one of the most brilliant lines, and that's what I was trying to get out and clear. So thank you again to the person who commented, because like I was trying to get that out and I was just trying to say it is one of the most brilliantly thought out lines, and I don't think she was like planning to say it. I think it was just that it's just the way it came out, and it's like, but he's on the block a little bit.
Yeah,
He's
like
stuck. And it's
in
like,
our like space, our head space, like
uh
we see it as it's him and Jess on the block, and
chef's
it
kiss
was
all
yeah,
around.
it
It
was
was
great.
perfect. So, but so
But I really
now,
do. I love Tiff. I
yeah.
feel like
Oh, she's one of
these
my
last two
favorite
episodes,
characters in so long.
yeah,
So well rounded as a human.
yeah, I absolutely adore her.
Mm.
Again, she was like she's in my top picks. She's in my definite like winner pick list.
Thank you for that because I wanted her.
Oh,
And she
if
has the idol. She got an idol on day goddamn one. Like,
yeah, and like the when she's throwing
oh yes,
puzzle pieces
puzzle
over her
piece.
shoulder and full on beast moding it. Like I just I love her so much.
Her attitude.
I feel like the Jess stuff was like that was worrisome, like how emotionally invested that seeing red aspect of it. But
I liked that she was able though to like really like very like she had the moments where she felt emotionally charged, but as soon as she came back, she was reflective, and I thought it
yes,
was really thought. I loved how thoughtful it was, and I appreciate that people we were able to kind of have that conversation because it is important to make it clear that like that's not who she was or what she was trying to embody, is an angry black woman. And I think it's so important to be able to have those conversations, especially when someone is feeling emotional over those kinds of things, but like also
or
not exploit it to like the greatest degree.
and just in case, so my anxiety for my own anxiety's sake, I was not saying
Oh
like
yeah.
her being emotional worried me. I was talking
Oh
about
yeah.
for the options that were placed out in front of her, and for how I felt like she got kind of tunnel vision that Jess is the problem, and even
Yes.
though we knew that was not accurate, that part worried me that if she lands a target on somebody or she wants someone gone, there's going to be no room for like no wiggle room. Like there's going to
Yeah.
be she's not going to be able to be persuaded away from it. And I like who we just had this we just saw this kind of play out with Nicole Mimi in Big Brother
Yep.
season. And then oh my gosh, it was oh my God. Christine, oh my Tommy, not Tommy, but Christine.
Oh, yes.
He got that way too. Where like this is how we need to play. I don't like any kind of deviation from that plan would stress her out. And I kind of just saw that quality for a moment in Tiff. But then this last episode, we got some confessionals for us that led me to believe like, okay, she's very
Mhm.
self-aware and she's very
Yeah.
self-reflective. And that is an incredible quality to have in
Mhm.
such a high emotion, high stakes game like this. So
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
very excited about her.
I think I saw it in episode 2 when she had the moment when both her and Bonnie were screaming at Jess in the
Mhm.
challenge, and she was very, very fired up. Both of them were fired up. Also, Bhanu said that, like, he's apologized and, like, he feels horrible about that stuff. And the only reason that we haven't heard from Tiff is she's still in the game, so we don't have that context yet. So we'll get context if she gets voted out or when she wins. Uh, but it's just interesting. I really do think that's one of her best qualities in this
Mhm.
game is even when she can have a vulnerable moment and be vulnerable to her emotions, that she can have these moments where she can pull herself back and be like, "Yes, okay. Emotion is running some of these decisions, but I also need to make sure that I am remaining logical." And that's like one of the biggest things you could have, like one of the biggest strengths you could have in Survivor. So, like, just huge kudos to her for having that capability to do that because there are a lot of people on Survivor that
Oh my god.
do not have that ability. Um, we see just I mean, these episodes, I mean, first 4 episodes in general, but especially episodes 2 3 and 4 rather, are just so Yanu heavy. Like, we got Kenzie and Banu being wary of each other, which we already knew. Um,
Mhm.
Q's pep talk was something else. The fact that he made a comment, do you know who did you pick up on the Philip comment? Because I don't know if you know the lore behind, like, when he was like, "You're my Philip."
In this last episode or the episode before?
This most
Most
this was
recent?
in season this was episode 3, I think, when he was um like Bonnie was crying over everything. It was right after the
Oh,
mermaid
that was this.
dragon comment.
Oh, I thought the pep talk was episode 4.
Oh, there's 2 pep talks.
Okay.
He
Then
gives him
yeah,
a pep talk every goddamn episode.
I get
There
it.
are 2.
Poor Bhanu.
Well, at one point, he was like, "Hey, you're my Philip." And so for people who might not know the reference, that's referencing Philip Shepherd from Redemption Island and Fans versus Favorites 2, who was just like kind of this person that people dragged along because he was just not he had no social no social game whatsoever. Um and he was like literally to Bonu's face calling him Philip. And Bonu, who is like a super fan, is just like, yeah. So at first I was like, why did I think Q like why did Q think this was a good idea? But then my next question was like, but why did Banu like willingly accept that and not question that? He was like, I'm a wackadoodle. And it's like, oh, I don't know. So many questions on that. I don't think I'll ever even be able to have my own answers to. But like I love Banu for his personality. He was not good at this game whatsoever.
Bless
It
his
was
heart.
bad. It was bad. The only reason we didn't see him go out earlier is because Randen ended up getting pulled from the game. Um,
Oh my god, when he woke up and said, like, his hand was numb and stuff like I mean, here's where my
I knew you were
anxiety
done.
brain goes. I'm not thinking pensioner or you slept on it funny. I'm thinking something really dangerous bit you in your sleep.
Actually, it's funny that I didn't even think about that.
That's the
Seriously, that
first
was my
thing.
first thought.
He was
That's a good
like, "I can't feel
point.
my" I was like, "Where's the medic? Why are we not checking for bites? Let's be looking." Because when he said he woke up, he felt a sharp pain, and then I was like, "You got fucking bit. You got bit." I
That's
don't
a really good point. Even though I think it came out that it was just like the pinched nerve that they were
pensioner,
worried
yeah.
about. Um, but so like yeah, so we woke up. I gotta tell you, the second that happened, I knew it was over. I knew the way they were setting it up. I've seen them set up medevacs
Well, they're
before.
either setting it up for that, or they're setting it up for him to not be able to compete, and in which case, like, Siga loses the competition and then he has guilt. Like, there's two storyline outcomes here. There's one, he's going to get medevaced, and there's one that he can't compete because of this injury, and it's going to affect the tribe.
Well, speaking of that immunity challenge too, Nami struggled without him in their first challenge without him. It looks like moving forward, it is going to be Nami coming from behind and Hunter saving the day, because that has happened multiple times since Randen has not competed, and it's like, oh, this will be interesting until we get to merge, because then here's the problem. They're going to be like, Nami's going to be relying on Hunter to get them through, and then who the fuck is going to be winning all these physically based immunity challenges?
Mm-hmm.
I think at some point, if we know he makes the merge, we need to put a bet on how many immunities we think he wins. Because like, that's just, oh my god.
I don't know. I think and again, I've said it since preseason. I feel like those immunity wins are going to be cycled between Hunter, Tiff, and honestly, truly, I think Q and Charlie. Oh, Q, but Charlie.
Yep,
I think Charlie is the
yeah.
Siga strong horse.
Well, I think the nimble challenges, like the balance ones, are so gonna go in Tiff and Charlie's favor.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Q could still compete in those though, because of his history in athletics. But the thing is, a lot of times, it's also based on body type. So like, even if he can have the most incredible balance, if the challenge is not based on their weight and their foot size and their everything, and sometimes they are and sometimes they're not, if it's just same across the board, he's probably not going to be in as good a spot as Charlie and Tiffany. Somebody, I'm trying to think, somebody I could say could potentially, no, I was going to say, I'm just running through because I thought I had somebody else in my brain. Jem could surprise us.
Yes, absolutely.
I could see her really shocking us in some of the more like balancy, like strength, or like because they do a lot of balance in different kinds of ways, like core balance, arm balance, blah blah blah. I've kind of realized that because I'm like trying to run through all the different challenges, and so many of them are based on balance. Like, Jesus Christ, maybe we like shake that up in post merge. Maybe I thought Jem would do well on the pole. That really came off wrong. Wow, let me rephrase that. Jesus Christ. I'm really sorry. Yo, that's really bad. That is not. I'm really sorry.
Just keep moving forward. You didn't mean it like that. I mean, she could though. She could. That's an accurate statement too. She could do very well in the pole. I tried that for like a minute as a workout. Let me tell you something.
I'm so embarrassed. I'm so sorry.
Let me tell you something about pole dancing, okay? Those women are so fucking talented. It's unreal.
One of our best episodes yet. God,
takes so much physical strength. I follow so many pole dancers on TikTok. And
I do too. I am fascinated.
In case you're uneducated out there, actually, the majority of pole dancers are not exotic pole dancers.
I just didn't want it to come off like I was saying something so overtly.
No, it's fine.
Oh my god. Sorry. It's like I do that on the Big Brother episodes when we talk about evil dick, and I shorten it to dick, and then everything I say is innuendo. So it's fine. I get it. Totally get it. My bad. So anyway, so when we're talking though about the pole challenge where they have to hang on to the pole, I could see Jem doing really well in that because of like the body type. And all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm trying to think now, like Mariah could be good at that one. Liz could be pretty decent at hanging on to the pole. Jesus, they make such crazy sexual innuendo out of so many things. Like the balls, they're like, don't bang your balls together. And it's like, why? It feels weird. If Jeff wants this to be kids television, you can't have shit like that. You can't. I'm kidding. They can warn for it. It's fine. Going through my notes, we were just talking about the immunity challenge, the first one of two. Oh yeah, so this one ended up resulting in a journey. And so this is when Liz, Ben, and Bhanu went on like the rock draw journey. Um it's so the game really did give Bhanu everything he was asking for. He's like, I need a miracle. The game was like, here's a miracle. Couldn't pull it off. I love him to death though. I love him as a person. It's just his game was such a mess.
Oof.
Oh my god. Spilled the beans instantly when they got on the beach. Like Ben and Liz rightfully ate it up and then brought it right back to their tribes. I think I have been wondering though, like what the situation would have been like though for Banu had he wound up making the merge and they knew all of that information. Like what I think he would have flipped because he would have been pissed with I don't know. I say that, but then like he also is like super duper loyal. So like I don't know what he would have done to be honest with you. The right move probably would have been to flip, but he probably still would have stuck with Yanu. I don't know. That one is the one that makes me wonder what would have happened. But anyways, I don't know if you have thoughts on that. I was leaving that open. She's like, I do not want to speculate on that whatsoever. So with this journey, we had the rock draw where it was the white rock didn't get to participate in the little challenge. I actually didn't hate that. I actually think that was kind of like a nice little twist to the journey because I don't like that it's that, oh, we expect everybody is going to come back. Because, like, I mean, at least the players do, and there's kind of this thought process, you know what I mean, of what could happen. There are things that they can kind of manipulate. But I enjoyed for us viewers knowing that there was that opportunity to not actually play. It added a nice little social element that I think if we're going to keep doing these journeys, we need stuff like this instead of just being like, here you go, everybody has a chance for an advantage. I was also curious to know though if the advantages that these two would get would be different or the same because I think they've done it differently. So would have been interesting if either one of them could have solved it. I don't know if I could have solved that. So to be fair, that was I'm decent at puzzles. That one
was pretty tough.
Sauce. I want to say it was Dwight who said, like you had to have like the small like there were 3 layers and like the small you had to have like 1 small cube per layer, and I'm like you already lost me because I don't even know, like I get layers, but like what do you mean? What do you mean? So
It was very hard to watch. But I mean, I think the most interesting of all of it is, oh my gosh, the Banu spill of it all. But
yes, we can totally go back to that because that was the biggest part of this whole thing.
Oh my god. The more he talked, the more and to see like a clip of back at Camp Tiff and Kenzie being like, he is saying he's spilling everything. And then
They
it goes
knew
to them,
it.
he literally is. But like not just a little bit. Like he just word vomited
Yeah.
all over the place.
And Ben and Liz were literally like almost wide-eyed at one point, just being like, okay.
Like I watch empathetically and I just feel like in that moment I would have really struggled with telling him like you just stop feeling bad to take advantage. It's kind of like when in Pee-wee sports, there's this thing that happens if one team gets X amount of points more than the other team, where it's just they're just completely gone, they're just blowing the other kids out of the water. The coaches will then send in the developmental kids, the kids that are considered like the C squad, the ones that play in the dirt, instead of watching for the ball. And it's like a professional courtesy. And I feel like I would have had that same kind of mentality hearing that shit from Banu. I've just been like, you know, what's that over there? You know, like I would have just
let's draw some rocks.
the information he would have given me would have been so like, oh, that's amazing. Thank you for telling me all this. But at the same time, I would have felt so bad.
Yeah, I get that. And I feel like both of us, if either of us were in that position, our faces would have read it way faster than we would have said something.
Yeah.
Like it would have shown up on our face, and then Bhanu would have been like something like, "Is this okay to say?" And it'd be like, "No, no, continue. I just can't control my emotions, apparently."
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh.
I gotta say I think the way they wanted it to come out was that Banu was the most interesting thing that came out of that journey, but for me, it was Ben. The pep talk, first of all. We're getting multiple pep talks. I love Ben's pep talks. They're amazing. I know Ben rubs some people the wrong way. I love it. It's I think it's also because 'cause I'm a metalhead and I very much, like, live in that, like he I just relate to him a lot. So I think that might
He's
just be
so
my personal
charming
bias. He is
and so
really
sweet. And he's just light,
he's
you
there
know?
for the people, for the downtrodden almost. Like, it's like he can empathize with them and make them feel like they are human, and it's such a powerful, powerful, powerful tool in this game. It might be one of the most powerful tools you can actually have on Survivor, which is why I just, oh my god. I did not think he was gonna do well going into the season, and I am floored in the best way possible with him. Like, also, can we talk about the lie he came up with? He's so goddamn smart. He's so goddamn smart. So after losing his vote at the challenge on the journey, he goes back to his tribe and first of all, he spills all of the beans. Great way to start is come in and be like, I have some gossip. Lay
Yeah.
all the gossip down. And then instead of even just breaking bad news, he didn't even have to break anything to them because he used a portion of the game that we've seen before to his advantage. And he told his tribe, well, I don't actually know if I've lost my vote. We had to put this thing together and I don't know. I think I did it right, but we'll only find out when we go to tribal council. And it's like, damn, that's a goddamn that's a smart ass play to not show that he actually already has lost his vote or to lie and say that he still has his vote, to leave it in the air and to make it seem like I didn't lie. I didn't make any sort of deception. I don't, it's brilliant. And I hope more people remember this move because that's how you do it.
It
That's
confused
how you
me at
play this.
first. It confused me. I was just like, okay, it was just like postponing, but okay, like but then like the more I thought about it, the more like yeah, it absolutely made sense to me.
I'm so proud of him. And I'm not gonna say that like, oh, I didn't expect good social game from him, but like from all of like the smarty pantses we have on this game, I loved that it came from him and that he is just playing such a natural, like it feels like a very just natural game for him. Like it's not even like he's trying, but like it feels so he's so at ease playing this game at times. And it's wild to me. I I'm so here for it. I'm here for it. And jumping ahead to the next episode very briefly, he has another pep talk with Maria after Maria kind of like causes them to lose a challenge. I don't know if that's even the right phrasing, but she was just in a position where she was struggling and they ultimately lost a challenge. And she felt
Right.
like she was taking the failure of the tribe on her shoulders. And he was right there to just be like trying to build her up in every way possible. And it's just again, just goes back to that power, like, it is so it is one of the most important things you can have on Survivor, and the fact that he has it so, Jesus, I'm losing words. Well, we got really far before this is only my second one, and we're 4 to 5
Mhm.
minutes in. He's just really good at being in tune with people's emotions. I think that's one of the best things you can have, and I think I could just talk about it all day just because I love him,
I
and I love
adore him,
everything.
yeah.
Um I need more Metallica quotes though. The Metallica scene was okay that we got in I think it was episode 2, but, like, I want him to, like, start, like, just, like, oh, they might not be able to show it though. They'll probably be like, "Ooh." because people were asking me, he has tattoos that get covered up. They're like, why are they covering it up? It's like, it's probably because like they don't have legal right to show it.
Yeah.
Because they've done it with a ton of other people in the past. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something on there. Like it could literally be like a Metallica tattoo, and Metallica's like, no, you don't have permission to put that on unless you want to pay us every time. So we'll see how that works. Just making sure I didn't miss anything. We did not. So I have like pre-tribal, but we really didn't have a tribal council because unfortunately, Randen ended up exiting the game shortly after this challenge. I really gotta commend Dr. Will. I'll always love that we have Dr. Will on Survivor and Big Brother now, so that's awesome. But I do think they made the right decision. It is really, really hard, especially knowing that Randen didn't have the really, really concerning thing that they were worried about. But I think they made the right move pulling him from the game. The thing that was frustrating is that Venus did not get to be handed the advantage. Jeff explained that the reason that didn't happen is because he needed to transfer it before Jeff said, I'm pulling you from the game. And once that happened, it was like someone had walked out with an idol in their pocket. It's the same exact concept. I hate it, but I actually think it's right. I mean, we'd have to, if we did it, we could, I mean, unless we wanted to bend the rules when it's like, if someone leaves, they can have a box as they walk out and they can drop the item in the box and leave it for a person. We've done that before. I don't know why we can't do that. I don't know. Just feels like we could do it. But rules are rules. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it, but I'm not the biggest fan, but I get it.
I mean, I feel like you should have been able to give it, but it is what it is.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't disagree. Because, like, it was so sudden and he didn't have warning that it was coming. And Jeff's excuse is like, well, he should have known that he was injured and that there was a chance. And, like, if you don't want an advantage to be pulled from the game, then you need to make sure that someone's holding it that isn't gonna be at risk of leaving. And it's like, yeah, but did he really have, was he given warning that he was at risk of leaving besides just being with medical? I didn't see it other than just medical being like, we need to look into this. Maybe it was said when they checked him out after the challenge, because they do say that they always do that. And it's like, okay, that would have been important to see. You're showing us stuff that clearly doesn't matter when it comes to Yanu. Why can't we have 5 minutes to see what happens there so we can get better context? Because then I would have been more okay with the fact that it was pulled from the game and Venus didn't get it. Because, like, if he knew that there was a chance that they were pulling him
I
and he
mean,
didn't transfer it, it'd be
I
one
guess
thing to me.
I don't give it that. I mean, it is what it is.
Mhm.
But if an idol leaves the game this early in the game, they're gonna throw another one on the island anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So
They always do no matter what.
yeah.
And
So that's kind of where my head's at for that. How this shook up a lot for me. Well, one, how's this going to change the game for Venus? But two,
ugh.
we there was a bit of some tension. I don't know if it would. I don't honestly don't think it would have made all the way to tribal, but the block of tribal that night was going to be between Bhanu and Kinsey. And I
Mhm.
think from Q's confessionals, he would have wanted Kinsey out. And if he just got Bhanu to vote Kinsey, she would have been gone. And I think he was willing to make that move regardless of how, like, and think that he could, smooth things over with Tiffany afterward, that it was looking in that direction.
Mhm.
Um, so I feel like Banu thought he got his miracle, but I think that this was actually Kenzie's.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant, brilliant analysis of that. And also, can we just talk about their faces? Like, I had to.
Hers, girl.
Well, cues, because so Kenzie's jaw is on the floor. Bonnie's almost crying. Tiffany is also almost jaw on the floor, and then Q is just like pissed. His face is livid. The other 3 are hugging over this, and he's just sitting on the edge, just angry. And I'm just like, your body language isn't helping you right now. This is not your best moment. But I don't think it's also it doesn't seem like it's playing into anything at this point. So I don't think it's just a move I wouldn't have done. I would have joined the tribe and acted a little excited that something was happening so I could like kind of hide it, because I also wonder if Kenzie will remember that moving forward. I don't know. She also might not, because it is hard to remember lots of little things on Survivor when you aren't eating, because they barely have anything. They actually in the next episode won their first challenge. Surprise, surprise. It was, of course, a reward challenge. I said that immediately when I saw they won. I was like, of
I
all
was so excited.
challenges.
Like, the mom in me was so excited for Liz to get some real food. I was getting concerned.
But then they didn't get food.
Huh?
They opted to take the tarp and the tools. They didn't take the food. And I don't understand that. I don't understand that either. We are so close to merge. They had their shelter was
No, Tevin cooked and cleaned the fish,
Oh, that's
babe.
Nami.
That's who I'm talking about. I said Liz finally got some food in her.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Yanu, because I was talking
No,
about
no, no.
Yanu.
Liz is
My
allergic
bad.
to
My
everything.
bad. No, I thought
Yeah.
you were just I missed the word Liz, and I didn't hear
Oh,
it,
no,
and
no, no.
that is the
I
one
was
word
saying
I
the
didn't
mom
hear.
in me was worried about Liz and not being able to eat. They haven't had any real food that she can have,
Yes. No,
that
you're
she
good.
can eat.
Sorry. My
And
bad.
so, like, you were talking, I was like,
My bad.
no,
No.
Tevin cleaned the fish.
Just wrong page, wrong page. I was
I
like,
was
"What do
I
you
was really
mean?"
excited, and the mom in me was just very worried
Yes.
about, sorry, I had a
No,
itch.
but I also didn't know that until she said that, and I was like, you think we could maybe, make some sort of like, not make some sort of exceptions for her, but, like, you think that, like, I don't know, it just feels weird to have, because it's not I don't think she's the first person that's had this issue either. It's like, it just feels
I
very
kinda
weird
err
for
on the
me.
side of, you're applying for a show, here are the rules, you shouldn't get
Yeah,
special rules if
it's
you have
true.
like,
Yeah, she
she's
knows
going
that.
into this knowing she has food allergy stuff, so you're knowing that you have to win shit to make food, fish that you can eat.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good
Like,
point. I don't know. It is a very interesting
because a
element to the
big
show.
part of this game is fighting for those opportunities to food, and like the fatigue and
Yep.
like that wears on you. And I feel like if you go in with like an exception like that, where you get some protein bars or something like that's giving you an advantage. um I feel like in Big Brother, when we look at have nots, it doesn't have the effect it used to.
Right. I agree.
uh it doesn't have the effect it used to, but you know, it would kind of be the same thing. Like, you need to win your food. Um,
I'm
that's
just
why I
hoping
feel
for the best.
very, very a certain way about people going on that have dietary restrictions or dietary issues. Even like blood sugar and diabetic issues, unless, you know, like if you have a very strict regimented diet, I'm sorry, like I don't feel like these shows are for you. Um, And I know, like, that might sound cold and it feels that way to me, but these are competitions. And so at the end of the day, I want a level and even playing field.
Well, I think it would be better, and I don't disagree. I think it would be better if they went to places also where they weren't just completely depleting the supply, because that's something that you know how earlier I was talking about how Survivor has stayed on the same island in the same places for a bunch of they keep renewing their lease with the Fijian government, and they're just keeping all their stuff in this one spot. Yeah, they're at the same time, it's not just that the fruit's getting depleted, it's that the fish supply is getting depleted. It's that like the area is getting depleted of resources too. So it's like I do think that there's a way that if Survivor could help by not just forcing them to live on the same beach, and also, you know, like maybe giving them rice. I'm still one that doesn't understand why they don't get rice anymore. It's because it's only 26 days. Okay. Okay. I don't care. I honestly actually don't care. That has never made sense to me, that like, oh, you just get to starve because you're here for less time. It just doesn't make sense to me, and it kind of irritates me.
No, I absolutely think it needs to be like a bag of rice needs to be in with your like flint and machete type of supplies. Like it
And
just needs to be.
if you have to win it, if they wanted to add it where you win it because they've had the winning the flint shit, fucking fine.
Yeah,
That's even fine with me. But like, why are we making them starve? Like, you know what? That wasn't the part of the show that people were really interested in. You want to know what it is and that we don't get anymore is the fucking rain and the storms and the nasty weather that like we got a little bit of it earlier in one of these episodes, right? Because we saw Yanu was like sleeping under some rocks, but it literally for some seasons it was that it would rain every day, every single day, and that was part of the challenge. And it's like cool, but Fiji isn't giving that. But there's got to be some reason. I don't know what it is exactly, but there's got to be some reason that they think that Fiji is the place to continue to renew with. I don't know if it's money. I don't know if it's resource access. I don't know what it is, but I just don't. I think it has been overdone. It needs to move because it's just like not working. And it's just, not to rehash that. Like, also, what we were talking about, the I brought it up, and I'm curious to know your thoughts on this. Do you think Yanu made the right decision in that challenge to swap the big bunch of fish that they had with no fire for the tools? Because at first I was like, I didn't think it made sense to pass up on food, but I mean they can't cook, and that's kind of the like frustrating part is why would you give somebody a food reward when they don't even have a goddamn flint?
Yeah, I think that they made the best choice for their tribe because of that.
Correct. I had a whole roll of emotions because initially
I
I was
don't
really
think
for
that they should have
food.
had special prize options because they haven't earned themselves a flint yet.
I also think that I mean, I'm not a fan of like trading. I've never been a fan of trading back for a previous prize. I always feel like it's like this is what we're competing for. You get it or you don't. Like if they wanted to be have it be, and if Yanu wins, they get their flint because of that kind of stuff. Like, cool. Why can't their flint be part of a fucking reward challenge? It doesn't have to be that both
Yeah.
teams get it. It's that like, hey, if you're the team that doesn't have your flint and you come in first, you get your flint because you came in first, not for second. If we're gonna stick with this stupid 3-tribe format. Jesus, I'm getting more and more angry as we get through the episode. Simmer. But yeah, that's where I sit. I don't know. So we talked about Randen getting medevaced. We talked about the reactions that we got at Yanu. And honestly, this is one of the most seamless transitions we've had from one episode to another, which is why I thought I was not mad that we did these 2 episodes back to back in here. Because we literally go from Jeff just dips out and is like, okay, bye. Randen's gone. I would say it's within minutes, if not seconds. Bhanu is like, guess what I said on the journey? And I was like, bro, you were
Jesus
so
Christ,
close.
man.
You were
Get it
so
together.
close. Because Tiffany had literally approached him right before Jeff showed up and was like, hey, just so you know, I haven't actually decided that I'm going to put your name down tonight. And I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And, this is a big example of Bhanu speaking before he thinks. I feel like if he had taken 5 seconds to step away, he would have, even if he had decided to still tell them, he would have thought of a better, more cohesive way to tell them than just saying what he said, because it was also half-truths. He told them that he said Kenzie was a mastermind, which is true. Jesus, if you're watching the video version, I keep getting the thumbs up thing because I keep talking with my hand.
So used to it at this point.
It's probably happened more than I've even realized. But yeah, so but like I just don't understand what Bonnie was thinking. It just all it took, I guess Bonnie wasn't thinking, and Bonnie he doesn't think the way a lot of us would hope a survivor would think. So that really, I mean, I think that was the nail in the coffin. I think he literally was this close to actually getting Kenzie out or not him, but he was helping get Kenzie out, and the vote was going to flip his direction. To your point, it was literally like, was this actually a saving grace? Because he tanked his game at the end.
Jesus, he coulda, but that was painful. It was so painful to watch.
And I think it's partially for me because I don't know about you, but because I can see he's a good person. He did it because like he wanted to like gain trust. It's like, no, that's not how you do that. Best intentions, worst results. No, sweetheart. Oh, my heart still hurts. So we mentioned Kenzie being a mastermind, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, I also mentioned that you two are really close because they asked." It's like that's even worse. Why? Like I said, this was the moment. I think this was the nail in the coffin for him. I don't
Yeah.
think there was ever coming back from this. I think it was next time they went, there was no question. I don't think there was any flipping for Q at that point. Because Q had tried so hard, pep talks, just everything, just trying to get Bhanu to like think. Just wasn't working.
Ugh.
Um,
Painful.
Before we get to anything else, let's talk about the Siga idol hunt. Because somebody has finally found it on their side, and it is Miss Gem. Now, this actually happened in episode 3, but we had a lot more drama happen in episode 4 with it. So I just wanted to like kind of keep it all together. So Gem, she went on a night hunt. I love a good night hunt. She was I'm surprised she was not as sneaky as she was, but I always am impressed when anybody can walk away from their camp and not get noticed. Because like I don't know how much of a heavy sleeper.
I'm impressed when anybody can walk away from their camp and not shit their britches so scared. Because
I know.
Catch me on an island in Fiji unless I'm at a resort. No, ma'am. It's not going to happen. Catch me wandering in the dark around an island in Fiji where I can't see snakes and bugs and creeper crawlies and all that stuff. You fucking lost your shit. No. But I am very happy for Jim. I'm very proud of her. She was my second draft pick. So
you're killing it. You're doing better than I am. Well, not necessarily, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. But anyway, so she found it. She replanted it. And in episode 4, which is where we're at now, obviously, a big group is kind of out meandering around, and Maria finds it and shares it with the group. And this causes, I think this starts a lot of like domino effects for the social game for Siga, which I think is really interesting, finally, because like we've been waiting for it for episodes. So Jem's watching with glee, but Charlie's not happy because his number one, Maria, just decided to just be super open about it with the tribe instead of like seeing it and then sneaking away and like just sharing all this information with the tribe. He was not thrilled with that. I can't necessarily blame him, but I do think it's like kind of a difficult spot for Maria because like if she saw it, left it, and somebody else took it because they're right there, I mean, she would have lost potentially what she thinks is an advantage. Because for all they know, it's legit, just that it's going to be funny to see how that plays out moving forward. Like because now they're starting to get suspicions that the box was planted. I don't know how that's going to go.
I mean, okay. I'm just, I let them have their suspicions. That's fine.
Did you see the preview for next week?
No, my recording's always cut off before that. And this the other complaint like we're complaining a lot in this episode. That's fine. The tribal always ends. And then you're giving me like Amazing Race this episode, whatever, or commercials, like a super long commercial break. Then you come back from the commercial break just to roll the credits with the little box of like the person who left.
Yep.
And then you have scenes for next week, like just in the show together. Give me tribal, roll the credits with the little box, and then show me scenes for next week, and then let me get on with my fucking night.
Well, so since you didn't see it, I'll jump to
Annoying.
that real quick. Excuse me. I have to cough. If my nieces listen to that, I hope they get a giggle out of that. So next week, Tim actually ends up confronting Jem about the box. And the quotes are, Tim, you moved the beware advantage ? Jem, I don't know shit about that. So there's already, but like Charlie's brought up suspicions in this episode being like, maybe it was planted. And then they got into a group and they were kind of like, ooh, who could have planted it? And Tim's the person that they're starting to suggest. So this is, we're starting to see the little divisions start to grow. And I think we can see which way Charlie and Maria will potentially sway, which may not work out well for Ben.
I don't know how you ever think anything negative about Ben, like, ever.
I know. But also, how do you let him win? Or how do you let him get far? Because I feel like he's somebody they also need to be wary of, is like,
yeah, that's true too.
because like one of the other comments is Soda got to Goda. All of a sudden, Tevin is ready to get rid of Soda. I think it's the smart move. I actually like really don't disagree with it. And it's really,
Yep.
I think it's interesting because like he didn't make any comments about it in his confessionals in particular, but Hunter did. Hunter was like, "Oh yeah, I've been competing for Tevin's number one ally with Soda the entire time. Why the hell wouldn't I want to do this?" And I wonder if Tevin is aware of that. I'm sure he probably is, at least to some degree. Unless I missed that, and I could have missed it. But I also love, like, I think we're really starting to see Liz come into her own in this game, and especially in this moment. I mean, I don't think I'm necessarily surprised that she would be open to seeing Soda go, but like, it's interesting that she is seeing the game as far ahead as she is. She is making these moves, or willing to make these moves as early as she can. It's really, I'm living for these dynamics. Like, I think that's part of why people are frustrated about how much attention Yanu has gotten, because there are interesting dynamics going on with these other tribes that we're just not seeing. Yeah, it's frustrating.
I'm excited either way. Like, I love this cast. I love this cast, and I love that I'm so excited to see what happens every single week. So
I am too. It's just, and I hope the Yanu landslide kind of comes to an end soon. Guys, it's just not fun to watch.
I don't know what, like, I just feel like at this point, well, did we talk about tribal? We haven't talked tribal yet.
We haven't talked about the immunity challenge yet, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but it doesn't matter because we've been hopping around, and I don't think.
Yeah.
Just checking my notes for immunity. Oh, I already talked about Hunter being an animal.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about that anymore. So yeah.
I just, they didn't even vote this time. This fourth episode was like all these, and they talked about in this article too, it was like all the stages of grief, and it was just like denial and acceptance. But we're just watching Bhanu the whole episode, and he's crying, and then he's getting come to Jesus talks with, Q's giving him one, and there's all in with Tiff, and he gets, I mean, the man got down on his knees in front of Tiff. It was like, I would have been so uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable watching it. I would have, oh God, I would have sat down on the floor immediately in front of him. Like, no, we're not having this. Or walked away. The whole thing. There's so much uncomfortable shit. That whole, I didn't need it. It felt
exploitative.
That's the word. That's how it felt. It felt like we were exploiting Bhanu here, and it felt really, really, really icky. And then just for them to get to tribal council and be like, we don't even need to vote.
That's the part that kind of annoyed me. And so I have a bunch of quotes. We can honestly probably just jump into them. So Jeff has a lot of like defenses about like how this episode was edited and blah, blah, blah. Where would you like to start? We have, okay, so let's start with the no vote. And Jeff explained why. He said it's rare to have a tribal council. This was on the Survivor podcast, the On Fire podcast. So the full quote is, it's very rare to have a tribal council like this where everyone knows what's going to happen. He also said that it offered an opportunity to do something different. And he also said it allowed Bhanu to finish his story on his own terms and bring some level of agency to the closure of his experience.
Okay.
I love that that's your only reaction, is just like, because I think it is just a choice. Like, I mean, I just don't know, like, because I wrote in my notes here, it still felt weird to me that we made this choice to do it like this, because oftentimes this is reserved for people who are quitting the game, or people who
Yes.
are not, they are done participating, and he is not. And I don't know, it just, I'm not saying I don't I get where they were coming from, but it just doesn't feel like it was the best choice, in my personal opinion. I wasn't a huge fan of that. There was, so he then talked about the edit, and then I'll get to a little bit of a nicer one, because this is the one that you were talking about a little bit, about like why there was so much Bhanu in the edit and like why we got this. Full quote. The key driver for us is always the same. It has to be authentic to what the player experienced and tell their story in a respectful way.
I think this was respectful.
Mm-hmm. We're not going to bury somebody, but we're also not going to try and protect somebody. It's not about that. It's about showing what happened. And I'm just saying, you can't, like, here's the problem. I think right now, it doesn't mean that these two things can't work together, but when he says we have to tell their story in a respectful way, and then says, but we're not going to try and protect somebody, you can do that and still have respect for someone. But I'm going to say, I don't know if that really shine through, because they really allowed him to be open to so much vitriol and criticism. And I think they don't necessarily always understand that when it comes to their edits. We've seen it before with multiple other players. So it's just, it feels very out of touch. Almost feels like Jeff only goes on social media to read the good things and like won't listen to the bad, almost. And it's like, and not even just Jeff. I shouldn't even just put him there. I should just say anybody who's on production. You know me, I've had criticism of their casting producer for quite some time. And I just think like it's not on casting, just like, but it's, I don't know. It's like it's encompassing. It's not just a one person issue. It's that like we need to be nailing down some more healthy ways to approach this. I'm not even saying that I think casting's an issue here, because I like a Bhanu character, even if they create chaos. Because, you know, if we had a 2-tribe game, it would just be that he's screwing up his alliance's shit and not necessarily just the whole tribe, you know? There would probably be more opportunities, in my opinion, for him to cause chaos and still stay in the game. So that's my opinion. I can tell you're still processing yours, which is so
I am. Well, I said a lot of how I felt at the top, and it just
hasn't changed.
That all of this just felt very, very icky to me.
Yeah, I don't disagree. What I will say is I didn't mind this quote from Jeff, and hopefully as I reread it, it doesn't rub off differently, because I read it and was like, so let's see how this goes again. He did defend casting people like Bhanu. And that's one of the things that I've been doing, is like, look, I understand if he wasn't your favorite because of the way he was portrayed, but like, I really just don't think we can just be like, never cast Bhanus ever again, because it's just so dismissive. So Jeff's quote, for my 2 cents, if we had to go back and do this again, I'd put Bhanu on the show instantly, because that kind of authenticity, that's the kind of authenticity that we're desperately seeking. And don't be confused. I'm not saying you should like Bhanu. I'm saying be yourself and trust. That's the only way to play. Bhanu drove his tribe mates crazy. That was clear. But it's not because he was a compassionate, caring person. He drove them crazy because of his lack of game playing abilities. And it's like, to just put people in a singular box was so frustrating for me, because like people are like, wow, he sucks because he sucks at the game. It's like, are you looking at him as an entire person?
Yeah.
That was where my frustration is, and where I will side with Jeff, where it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Don't have to like how they did Bhanu, but to say, and this is why we shouldn't cast Bhanus anymore, is so wrong, in my opinion.
Yes.
So wrong. So an immigrant, a member of the LGBTQ community who was desperate to come out here and, like he said, just win 1 million hearts. He didn't actually care about the money. He literally just wanted to represent for his community.
Yeah, no, I thought he was an incredible casting choice.
They did him dirty. They did him dirty.
Yeah.
It makes me sad. I would love to meet this man in person. I feel like he'd be such a like a fun human being to be around. I do this thing where it's like,
you did get to meet Charlie though, and I'm very curious.
That was fun. Oh my god, we didn't even talk about that on the last
No.
podcast. Charlie's great. Charlie's amazing.
I was like, tell him I love him.
You want to know? So there's a funny story. So last year I went to a different one. I went to a Survivor 40. I went to a couple Survivor 44 events, and this one was in May. This was the Bryce and Wen event, and got there. Took a picture with me and my friend Ben. My Ben. Took pictures with Danny from that season, and we did some karate poses, and all of a sudden we had a fan come up to us, another one of us fellow fans, and was like, hey, could you just take a picture for us real quick? And we did, and we had no idea who we were taking pictures of, and they go, just so you know, that was Charlie. He's going to be on an upcoming season. Didn't even register with us until I saw Charlie, and then I read an article, and I had to text Ben, and I'm like, oh my god, do you remember this? I was like, did we meet Charlie? And he was like, we only met plebeians that night. I was like, no. I don't even know if we like met Charlie, because the other people that we talked to from Survivor were people we had met at previous events. But I was like, no. Do you remember this instance when we took the photo? I don't remember which one of us took it. One of us did. And I was like, that was Charlie. And he was like, well, motherfuck. So we ended up running into him last year and having no clue that was him. The event that I went to, it was an event. He just put it on super last minute, and I had a friend reach out who's part of the Survivor community who was like, you should come. He is genuinely everything that he is shown on the show. And it's really, I like that he's getting like the real edit of himself. He wore a Taylor Swift jean jacket, and it was it was just everything.
I love that so much.
Oh, I felt so bad you couldn't be there, and I hate that kind of stuff. I wish so many times I could teleport Sarah to Boston and just like be here, because I've said this in the past. Like, I'm not trying to drag. This is no drag on any alum. It's just I wish that there were more meetups in more cities, like more places that, like Dallas, that had more like kind of. It's just, and I don't know, maybe I don't know about them because they're not like, I'm not familiar, but I do know like they'll do one in Atlanta, they'll do a bunch in New York City, in LA. Boston, they'll come every now and again, probably once a season or so. But it's just like, I just wish that there was more diversity, so more fans. And I mean, obviously Rob goes to like North Carolina because that's where he lives, and Rob's really good, I think, of going a lot of different places. I still just wish that there were more watch parties.
Yeah.
With alum. But does it require alum? I don't know. Maybe I'll start doing watch parties. Maybe not, because I don't have a social battery. I don't know if I have a social battery to do watch parties. But they're fun. So anyways, Bhanu is out, and so is Randen, to just be a little refresher. So this is your cue to go get our little display up on the screen for people who are watching. But so we're going to go into our winners draft update, and so far we're still tied. These last 2 episodes didn't help at all. So we were tied 1-1 coming into this, and we are now we are now at 2-2. So Sarah has lost Randen and Jess, and I've lost Bhanu and Jelinski. And I gotta say, my picks are interesting. So let's just remind everybody where we're at. So Sarah has Hunter, Jem, and this is in order of the way she picked them, by the way. Like, motherfucker.
I know my pick order is doing
Your
pretty
pick
good.
order is insane.
And now that like Ben might be in trouble, I'm just saying like
I did all the homework too, you bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm being a cunt. I'm sorry. I don't use that word. Sorry.
never be sorry for calling me bitch.
I use the C word.
Oh, I don't care. I say cunt all the time.
I never use that word unless it is in a friendly way.
It used to be a really bad word for me, and then I kind of did that whole ownership thing where you just like kind of take it, and it works. It works.
So anyways,
I'm very empowered to use it.
I especially, well, if I'm also calling, when it's not used in a derogatory way and it's used with somebody who is a flen, a festy bestie.
Yeah.
It's a little different. If I called somebody randomly that, no, I would never. So anyways, I say that because Sarah's just kicking my ass because she's in order of her picks. She has Hunter, Jem, Tevin, Charlie, Liz, and Ben that are still left. Meanwhile, I have Venus, which I still love my pick for Venus. Maria, we still kind of love, but I'm a little worried about. Mariah, Kenzie, Soda, Q, and Tim. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not really high on all of my picks at this point. A lot of them are either in danger or don't have really strong storylines right now compared to Sarah's. So I don't know how that's going to bode for, because I mean, yours could also mean that you have some people getting ready to get out soon, but I don't know. That's all speculation.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, babe.
I try. So next time on Survivor, especially for Sarah, since she didn't get to see, we did talk about how Tim is going to confront Jem about the Beware advantage, and he's going to be like, did you move the Beware advantage? And she's going to be like, I don't know shit about that. So no. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We also saw that Nami is going to go back idol hunting, and the goal is to keep it out of Venus's hands. And I would just live for it if it didn't stay out of Venus's hands. It would be so fun. So there's that. And then in the episode notes, they didn't show this in the preview per se, but it is, if you kind of like look on your guide or if you read the press release, there's also going to be a journey. And it says, and I quote, a castaway's memory must serve them well on a journey for an advantage. So that's where we leave off going into next week. And the episode is called Tiki Man. I don't know if that means anything to anyone.
I know we did a lot of complaining this episode, but overall, I'm really enjoying the season.
Oh my God, yeah. And I think a lot of people are like, this is one of the worst seasons ever. It's like, I don't agree.
No.
At all.
No. I'm not having, like, the competition's a low uptick, you know? Not to mention how much I just absolutely love this cast. So.
Yeah, I don't agree. I think people at points look for reasons to be angry, and it's like, yo, there's plenty of reasons to be frustrated. No one's saying that there isn't. We've spent a lot of time being critical on this episode. That does not mean that we aren't enjoying it either. It's just the way it goes sometimes. But that is all I have. Anything you want to mention before I wrap up?
No.
Alrighty, well then that's been the latest episode of Wicked Unscripted. So if you like what you hear, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast. We're also regularly posting updates on our TikTok accounts, so make sure you follow us at It's Abigail Adams and Sarah Talks Big Brother and Wicked Unscripted, which I know I say every week. I will be unlocking that account soon. It's on the to-do list, people. But anyways, if you want to ask us a question or email, share your thoughts or leave us a tip, email the podcast at wickedunscriptedpod, pod@gmail.com for more. That is Wicked Unscripted pod, spelled P-O-D, @gmail.com. For more. We're always looking for fresh and diverse voices to join the conversation. And with that, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.